Working the night shift might seem quiet, but when the world sleeps, terrifying things can happen. From eerie encounters to unexplained shadows, these are real-life horror stories from people who faced pure fear in the dead of night. Stay with us till the end, and if you love chilling true stories, make sure to subscribe and press the bell icon so you never miss a scary upload. Let's get into it. The man who followed me home. Working the night shift at a hotel in a small, quiet town seemed like an easy job. The kind of job where hours passed slowly, and the most exciting thing that happened was checking in a late guest or dealing with a lost keycard. But I'll never forget the night that changed everything for me. The hotel was never too busy, and after a hurricane had recently hit, it had become even quieter. On that particular night, only about 9 rooms were occupied, meaning I barely saw a soul as I sat in the back break room sipping on coffee. The break room was my safe space, a little corner tucked away from the front desk where I could relax and kill time until my shift ended. The silence of the night was broken when I suddenly heard a voice calling out from the lobby. It was a deep voice, repeating the word "hello" over and over again. I stepped out to see a tall man standing on the other side of the glass barrier. He had an odd look about him, something in his eyes that made me uneasy. He asked for extra towels, so I grabbed a few from behind the counter and slid them under the glass. He snatched them quickly, shooting me a strange look before walking away. I didn't think much of it at first, but as I watched the security cameras, I noticed something odd. Instead of just taking the towels back to his room, the man stood in the hallway, rubbing them all over his face like he was in some kind of trance. A few minutes later, he was back at the front desk. He claimed his keycard wasn't working, but when I asked for his room number, he gave me something like 2C. Our hotel didn't have letters in room numbers. I knew then that he wasn't a guest. Before I could say anything, his expression changed. His lips curled into a twisted smile, and he leaned closer to the glass. Then, in a slow, deliberate voice, he said, "I'm going to kill you." He repeated it again and again, getting louder each time until he was nearly screaming. My heart pounded as I grabbed the phone and called 911. He just stood there, laughing as I spoke to the dispatcher. Then, without warning, he turned and walked away. I thought the worst was over, but after my shift ended, as I walked home alone in the dark, I heard footsteps behind me. They started slow, then quickened. I turned around, and for a moment, everything went silent. Then, out of the shadows, I heard a whisper, "I'm going to kill you." It was him. He had been hiding behind a parked car, watching me. I didn't stop to think. I ran. I ran faster than I ever had in my life, toward the only house with a light on. I reached the front porch and rang the bell desperately. Just as I did, the man grabbed me from behind, wrapping his hands around my throat. I could hear him whispering in my ear, telling me to die. Then, the door flew open. A man stood in the doorway, yelling at my attacker. The grip on my throat loosened, and I stumbled forward into the house. My attacker fled into the night. The police were called, and they reviewed the hotel's security footage, trying to track him down. But when they asked me to identify him in a lineup, I froze. I looked at the faces in front of me, but I couldn't be sure. To this day, I wonder if I let a monster walk free. The gas station stalker. I used to work the night shift at a small gas station on a quiet stretch of highway. I say used to, because after what happened a few months ago, I swore off working nights forever. It was around 2:30 a.m., and the store was empty. The highway was silent. I stepped outside for some air, rubbing my hands together against the cold. The neon sign buzzed above me, casting a weak glow on the pavement. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I noticed movement. A man stood behind one of the pumps. His hood was up, hands shoved deep in his pockets. There was no car, no reason for him to be there. He wasn't getting gas or looking for anything. He was just standing there, slightly turned toward the store, watching me. I went inside but kept an eye on him through the glass. A few minutes later, he walked in. He stared at me before mumbling that his car had broken down and he needed a jump, but there was no car. I told him I'd call a tow truck, but he quickly shook his head. No, I just need a flashlight, he said. His words were rushed, almost rehearsed like he was testing me. Then he pointed at the security monitor. There, he said. I turned to look. A car was parked just past the highway entrance, but I had just been outside, and that car wasn't there before. Then I saw something. Movement near the back bumper. Someone was crouching, just out of sight. A cold wave of dread hit me. I forced a smile and told him I'd grab my phone from the back. As soon as I was out of sight, I pressed the emergency panic button under the counter. The alarm blared through the store. The man didn't panic. He didn't run. He just smiled. It was slow, knowing like he had all the time in the world. Then, with eerie calmness, he turned and walked out. Through the monitors, I watched as two figures took off, not toward the car, but into the woods behind the station. When the police arrived, they found the car abandoned. No footprints leading away, no sign of them anywhere. Then an officer noticed something. The front passenger door was open. There had been a third person inside the whole time. The car had been reported stolen 100 miles away. No suspects, no explanation, and no way I'll ever work another night shift again. The crazed stalker at the hardware store. I used to work at a home improvement store in the pro department, mostly handling contractor sales. My co-worker, Nicole, was a sweet and quiet girl, always polite to customers. She was also very pretty, and unfortunately, that meant she got hit on a lot. Most guys just flirted harmlessly, but one man was different. He had come in one day, asked her out, and when she politely declined, he had left without much fuss. We thought that was the end of it. But later that night, while I was working alone at the register, he came back. Nicole was in the back helping a customer, so it was just me. He walked up and asked if Nicole was around. Something about his tone made me uneasy. He said he had come to pick her up because she had accepted his date request earlier. That was a lie. I told him she wasn't here, hoping he would leave, but instead, his expression darkened. He asked me why he couldn't talk to her. I was trying to think of an excuse when, out of nowhere, I blurted out, "She's my fiancée." That made him furious. He glared at me for a moment before storming out of the store. I thought that was the end of it, but I was so wrong. A few weeks later, Nicole and I were closing up when we heard a loud bang on the glass doors. We both jumped. There he was, pressing his face against the glass, his eyes wild. He started shouting, demanding to be let inside. Nicole screamed at him to leave, but he just grinned. "I'm not here for you," he said. "I'm here for your husband." I realized then that he wanted to hurt me. Nicole ran to call the police while I stayed near the doors watching him. He started ramming against the doors, trying to break them down. The glass shook, and I was sure it wouldn't hold. Just when I thought he was going to get inside, Nicole came running back with a 2x4, yelling that the cops were on the way. That finally scared him off. The police caught him a few blocks away. Nicole and I quit soon after. Neither of us felt safe there anymore. Have you ever had a creepy experience while working late or being out at night? Let us know in the comments. And if you love real horror stories, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Stay safe out there.